Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm. And today we're going to be carrying on our card. And what we did in the last episode is that we are started to set up the list for the cards, and we created here a couple of cards that we like 5, and we're going to be loading all those on our widget right here. Okay. So the first thing we need to do now is that we need to come up with the design of the cards, and hopefully I already have set up here. Let me just delete one thing that I'm showing up here. So I'm just gonna bring my window there. So basically I already created, I think on master turn, which is just an example of UI that I want to use. And I'm using Inkscape to edit everything. So if you have Inkscape, feel free to use it. And the reason why I'm using Inkscape is just because it's free and we don't have to worry about any expensive tool. So here I'm gonna use this image 3, gonna open up, and in here I have basically some frames that I was using, and I can use this to make my card, right? So I'm gonna just explain you how my workflow works when I'm creating this kind of stuff. So in this case I created those images using AI, so you can do the same. And then I use another AI called Vectorize to create the vectors for me. And he did a pretty good job actually, because he added some more context to that, which I think is quite cool. So what I'm going to do is that on this large window, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to make this into a card, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is just clean up all this mess. I don't need it. I'm going to select all the image. I am going to group this, copy, make sure everything's selected. Doesn't look like everything is selected, so I'm just gonna ungroup here. Don't know why it's not selecting everything. I think I know why. This is because Inkscape sometimes is tricky. There you go. See, that's the one we need to ungroup. And I'm just gonna go back here and I'm gonna group this. Because I generate this with AI and use AI to create a vector version, I have to do this cleanup. Now I just created an empty document. I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna flip this this angle, right? This looks a little bit weird, so I'm just gonna make it something like, actually what I can do here is, I think I deleted the Hearthstone card, right? So what I like to do here when I'm doing this kind of stuff is like a Hearthstone, no images, not this one, Hearthstone cards. So I get this one, for example, I open an image on a new tab, and what I can do here, can drag and drop. Okay. And then I just try to match more or less the size, you see. So for example that. And then I can just drag and drop more or less here. And then from here just try to do something like that, you know. So yeah, it looks more or less okay. Doesn't look too bad. I'm just gonna put it here. Now that I have the base of the card, right, I'm gonna save this on that desktop stuff so you guys can download it as well. I'm gonna call this main. You don't have to follow these steps in Inkscape, it's just I want to show the full setup that I do. Now we're gonna go to downloads, master turn, PNG, and I'm gonna create a new folder called components. Open up here, a new folder called card, and then inside the card, background. Now I did a mistake. I did not increase the DPI. This is very important. It's just for quality. I like to leave on 320. So it has the max quality we can. Otherwise everything looks pixelated and your game doesn't look great. Just gonna replace. Now let's just import that to Unreal. Super easy, right? So we're gonna go back here. Make sure you put t-card-background. It's just so it's easy to identify in the engine. Now that we have this, we can go back to the card, go back to the background, and we can just drag and drop this one here, right? And I can go back and replace this right there. Now I do not have a design per se, so I don't know exactly how this is gonna work properly, but I think that looks pretty cool actually. It doesn't look too bad. Now it does look a little bit big, but we can always, I guess, improve the designer later on, right? So what we can do here, oh, it does have like this weird space. So let me double check, why is it doing this? I'm gonna ungroup that. I think is I think it was something to do with that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just gonna export this back to the card, PNG, replace. Just because now my game is not looking great anymore. Go back and import it right here. Perfect. Does that still look weird? I mean, the card looks quite big, but we can improve that later on. So let's not worry about this too much. Right. So now that we have this stuff added, right, what we can do is that we can start to work on the card here. I'm still gonna clean up this. I'm not sure why is it doing that, but so the next thing we need to do here, it's gonna do a Control Z. No, that's fine. Don't know why it's it has like a weird this. Okay, now it's fixed. So I can group that again. Go back, PNG, card. I'm just gonna export this, replace, and I promise this will be the last time we do this, because this thing's it's a little bit annoying to keep coming back to do this. There you go, much better. And apologies for all that because I completely missed that. So now it looks better now. Yeah, the size is a bit big, but let's not worry about that too much. Now we need to start to play with the card design itself. But well, remember, I do not have a design for this. So I'm just gonna come up with something here, right? I do have, I'm just gonna close this design. On that folder, if you open up here, again, I'm just gonna go to downloads. There is an image number, I think 2 or 1. Let me double check. One of those has like a title. So this one is like a login screen example. And this one is, I think, in-game kind of vibe. So you see that we have those boxes there. We can kind of use this to add the icon there, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just press delete here, delete that. Oh, it did not work very well. Is there any place that we can copy? So it's just like a empty border, to be honest, and we can do that quite easily, right? So this one, okay, so what I'm gonna do is close without saving. Now we have this. Go back to this image number 3 SVG, and I'm just gonna use like probably this section right here, right? And I'm gonna use that as a title. I'm gonna ungroup this stuff, delete it there. Perfect. So I'm gonna group it, copy, and then go back to here and paste it. So now it's gonna be a little bit big, but don't worry. So we can make it something like that. So this is gonna be like the card title or something. All right. And I think that looks okay. It's not the best, but because it's black on top of black, but it's the design I have. If you have a better design, feel free to use it. Now we're gonna go back here to the character itself, PNG, card, and I'm gonna do a t-title card border. And I just want to make sure that this is very easy for us to use. So we're gonna go back, and there you go. Now let's do that part on the engine, right? Perfect. So imported that here. Nice. Now what I like to do when I'm working with a card, I like to create a little canvas inside, because then I like to be a little bit like more wild about how I set up the card. I don't want to be bound by constraints. If I want to add crazy items all over the place, I can, right? So let's search for a canvas. Edit the canvas right here. And now we're gonna add a border. Okay. And then this border right there, it's going to be this, the title card border. Now it starts to look much better. And now what I'm gonna do is put it right here. I'm gonna center everything on 0, 0, 0.5, and 0.5. Now one thing I'd like to do here is I'm gonna add text, right? And the text I'm gonna wrap scale box. And now the border I'm gonna scale up a little bit, and it's gonna be the card title. It's like, you know, card title. If I compile and save, press play, I can see the card title, and I can play with no issues all over the place, right? Now the card, this thing is looking horrible, to be honest. I don't know why it's looking so. I think we did some mistake here in this animation. Let me double check. So when it goes here, some of the things that's tricky sometimes, but I'm gonna do like -50 here, and instead of, I'm gonna do like 1.2, 1.2. You know, it's not too big, but yeah, much better. Otherwise it becomes ridiculous size. Now that we have the card title, we can go ahead here and add also the card icon. So the icon here is very simple, right? You go back to this one here. Because we're inside the canvas now, the border is secure. Now I can search for an image. Drag and drop the image here. Because we're inside the canvas, we just go card icon, right? Now I do have icons, so I can just select, like, for example, the blade for testing purposes. And I'm gonna align this one right here. 0.5 and 0.5. I'm gonna actually align on top. Now this is gonna be 1. No. So 1 is this, 0. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna wrap this with a scale box. Okay. And I can increase the scale box to be something like that, for example. It's because I do not have a great art for this, but I can make it nice after. And then after, if you have like you can add a border or something, right? But as you can see, it looks quite cool, right? And the next thing we need to do, right? I'm gonna add this border right here. I'm gonna duplicate this, but on this case, what I'm gonna do is actually no. I'm just gonna search for text. Reach. I'm just gonna text. Is it reach text block? Editable text block. Well, I'm not sure why reach text block. Problem is that, okay, let's do it. I didn't want to use a reach text block, but let's do it. Let's set up this. So the text block we need to set up here, I think. Let me go back to miscellaneous. It's called text. Now let's just use a normal. To be honest, we don't need to display the information about that, so we can just maybe use a text box. Can I use the text for the background? We can use probably, let me just go back here to this border as an example. Maybe we can use something like that, you know. So we can maybe add this here. Fine. And we can make it this a little bit bigger. I can probably like get a better example. this is a description. Let's see how bad it looks. Box image. And now on the alignment size to content, that's too much. Textile, perfect. So we do have the font, highlight color, justification on the center, and I think the padding, so the size is fine. So the sizing maybe we can do like 12. Letter space 2, 5, 10. There's something called, I think it's called space, monospacing. Maybe I can just do 0 again. Well, I'm just gonna leave it like here for now, and then after we can work out about this text. So now it looks quite cool. And now the next thing I'm gonna do in the next one, because this is the most, let's say, hard part of our system, is that we can display with the icon the type of the card, if it's damaged or not, and that's what we're gonna be working on the next one. Once again, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I see you in the next one.